Hey you! Welcome to Happy Sex Ed! Today we are going to look at another show together. Last time we were analyzing How I Met Your Mother together. This time it's going to be The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is another show that I loved to watch as a teenager. I have watched everything more than once. And I think, again, there is going to be a lot to uncover. One thing I want to say before we start, as I also said last time, was that if you love The Big Bang Theory and you generally enjoy watching it, this is definitely not me telling you to stop watching. It's just important, I believe, to remember which messages we are unconsciously absorbing when we watch shows like that have a you can say toxic portrayal of sex and sexuality, because we do tend to absorb those messages sometimes without noticing. And I know that a lot of people say, oh, but it's just jokes, and everyone knows that it's just jokes. But the thing with jokes is that for it to even work, for a joke even to be funny, it needs to have some kind of truth value, like it has to be recognized by the viewers, by the people who are receiving the joke. And a joke that would be completely far off reality would not be funny to us. So that means that jokes always carry some kind of truth value, which means we have to be also mindful of those. Just because something is a joke doesn't mean it's completely harmless. The themes that we are going to be analyzing in this video are going to be sexual double standards, male sexual entitlement, body shaming, slut shaming, sexual worth, heteronormativity, and erotophobia. If you don't know The Big Bang Theory, The Big Bang Theory basically circles around a group of scientists. The show begins with a woman moving in next door. The woman is not a scientist at all and stands in great contrast to the guys of the show. So who do we have? First, we have Leonard Hofstadter. I always say his name wrong. Leonard Hofstadter. Leonard Hofstadter is a socially awkward guy who was portrayed as being romantic, which is questionable, but we're going to look into that later. He is Sheldon's best friend. Now, Sheldon is portrayed as this more asexual character, even though that does change after many seasons. But at least in the first season, he's portrayed as showing no interest whatsoever in any kind of touch or even sexuality. He seems to even look down on people who do crave those kind of connections. Then we have Howard Wolowitz. He tries to hide his insecurities behind being the ladies' man. Unfortunately, in the process, he is crossing a lot of boundaries. And he can be kind of seen maybe, whereas Leonard is the Ted of Big Bang Theory, the good guy, Howard is the Barney, the playboy, who is portrayed as being, a little bit disgusting, but he's still being accepted for it because he's a nerd, which is unfortunately a theme we keep seeing. Then there's Rajesh Kutrapali. He is really awkward when it comes to women, to the point that he cannot even speak out loud when he is in contact with any women. Now, the reason that is problematic, it kind of goes into this really weird trope about Indian men being obsessed with women, especially with white women, and being like really awkward around them. Now that is quite a harmful stereotype, and the fact that Rajesh basically is that, and he's portrayed as exactly that, and even an amplification of that, it does send quite a problematic message. Then we have Penny. Penny is the new neighbor and the only one of the group who is not a scientist. She moves into the apartment across the hall from Leonard and Sheldon and is completely different from the other guys. Something that is really interesting is that Penny doesn't even have a last name until, I don't know if I should spoil that, until many seasons later. Now, Penny is unfortunately less of a deeper character and more of a trope. She's kind of the girl next door, the hot girl that everyone wants. And what I've noticed, what I find quite problematic is, first of all, she's the only one without a last name. What is that about? Why does she not have a last name? And also her character development seems to be always relational in the sense that she is there to teach the guys social skills. She develops in response to them. She doesn't really have this individual development. Now, she really is portrayed in the show as an object of desire, not so much as a real person, which is really a shame. Also, what I've noticed is that her passions are being downplayed quite a lot. For example, the guys, they all have unrealistic or seemingly unrealistic passions in their fields, but they're always seen as quirky and brilliant, whereas Penny really wishes to be an actress, which of course is also like a difficult goal to reach, but no one ever takes her really serious with her ambitions. Something that we see in the show all the time, and I would say this is maybe even the core joke of the show, is that all the guys are nerdy, which makes them be not real men. None of them is portrayed as very strong or assertive, but they're more portrayed as being really shy and socially awkward. Now, we don't have this contrast of the sensitive, emotionally mature man like Marshall in How I Met Your Mother and this like toxic, macho Barney type, because the guys are also toxic in their own ways. But a core theme is that they are not real men and therefore have less sexual value, which is quite problematic. The idea that being really smart or really passionate is somehow hindering sexuality is really unfortunate.
New neighbor?
Evidently.
Significant improvement over the old neighbor.
200-pound transvestite with a skin condition? Yes, she is.
Now, what do we see in this scene? We see a lot of things, actually. First of all, the term transvestite is outdated because it's been used as a slur a lot. So we should not use it like that anymore. Then also, unfortunately, this is one of the very few times someone with a non-cisgender identity is even mentioned, but it's only mentioned as an example for something grotesque, something out of the norm, something that is wrong, and something that is definitely not desirable to have as a neighbor, which is really problematic. Then obviously we have some body shaming because the person is not skinny. And we also have some shaming of their skin condition, which the whole thing is just not great.
We live across the hall.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, no, we don't live together. I mean, we live together, but in separate heterosexual bedrooms.
Now, in the next scene, Penny believes that Leonard and Sheldon may be a couple, which is immediately met by Leonard having some gay panic. He immediately feels the need to say, no, we sleep in different heterosexual bedrooms. Which the message that sends is that being homosexual is wrong and it's embarrassing. So if someone thinks you're gay, that is really bad and you need to immediately make sure people understand that you're not. Now, which message is that going to send to young gay people watching? Not a very good one.
Well, it sounds wonderful.
It was. Until I fell in love with a jerk.
What's
The reason why I find this scene a little bit problematic is not because Penny is showing emotions. It's because it again plays into a trope. This time it's the damsel in distress trope that needs to be saved by the strong guy that she meets. And this just contributes to the very flat character writing that happens to Penny in at least the first couple seasons. Now, again, this reinforces those really basic stereotypes of the dumb blonde, the hot mess, the girl next door, and the girl that just desperately needs to be saved by some guy.
Such a mess and top of everything else, I'm all gross from moving. My stupid shower doesn't even work.
Our shower works.
Really? Would it be totally weird if I used it?
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
No.
It's right down the hall.
In this scene, Penny is immediately sexualized for wanting to do something very neutral, which is taking a shower. That is an inherently non-sexual act. But because we sexualize naked bodies so much, of course, Leonard sees it as sexual. While he does not explicitly say that, by the laughter and by Sheldon saying, "Now that's a development," it gets pretty clear. This just seems very centered around the male gaze. This scene would have been so different if it would have been a guy that came into their apartment and wanted to take a shower. That probably would have been just normal. Also, the way that Leonard is offering Penny to take the shower, it seems almost like he is accomplishing something just by her taking her clothes off in his apartment, which is just really strange.
Accomplish here.
Excuse me?
That woman in there's not going to have sex with you.
Well, I'm not trying to have sex with her.
Oh, good. Then you won't be disappointed.
What makes you think she wouldn't have sex with me? I'm a male and she's a female.
Yes, but not of the same species.
Now this gets really explicit. Sheldon literally just assumes that Leonard is trying to have sex with Penny because he's being nice to her, which, if you think about it, is so harmful. This really plays out men and women against each other. Women are going to be afraid of men being nice to them, and I know that they are a lot of the time, because they are afraid that they are going to be expecting something sexual. Now men are even going to be in the position that they are afraid to be nice because they're afraid it may be taken as flirting. And unfortunately, it's also true that a lot of men do this. They are being nice as a means to an end. And unfortunately, this is super typical for the early 2000 TV shows, where it was basically always the case that somehow sex is seen as a reward to the guy after being nice for some time. This transactional view of sex is really harmful because it really sees sex as something women give to men, and it decenters female pleasure. Because obviously, in a healthy sexual encounter, both people just really want to have sex, and it's not being done as a reward or to give something to someone. Also, obviously, what Leonard says is extreme heteronormativity. He says, I'm a man, she's a woman, we could have sex. What does that even mean? As far as we know, Penny could be a lesbian. We don't know that. Also, this leaves no room for platonic female-male friendships, which is really sad if you think about it. Imagine a world where men and women cannot be friends because whatever they do is going to be seen as sexual. Well, that would be quite empty, wouldn't it?
It's not a good time.
Leonard has a lady over.
Yeah, right. Your grandmother back in town?
No, she's not a lady. She's just a new neighbor.
Hang on, there really is a lady here?
Uh-huh.
And you want us out because you're anticipating coitus?
I'm not anticipating coitus.
So she's available for coitus?
Whoa, what was that? I find it really shocking how this made it into the show. Howard does not ask, is she okay? Who is she? How did you meet her? His first question is she available for coitus? Now, that is just creepy. That is just really creepy. That borders sexual harassment. And that is the problem with Howard. And this is going to be repeated all throughout the show. And it's always going to be brushed off as nerdy behavior. Obviously, he doesn't know Penny. He doesn't even know how she looks like. He just sees it as a sexual thing because she's a woman. It really just takes that much. Also, again, we just see huge double standards. If a guy was just showering in this apartment, no one would even bat an eye. But because it's a woman, all the guys are just losing their mind about it because they are wondering if she is available for sex. And sex, again, is like portrayed as this goal or this huge achievement that they're all striving for, regardless of even who the woman is.
Can I ask you a favor?
A favor? Sure, you can ask me a favor. I would do you a favor for you.
It's okay if you say no.
Oh, I'll probably say yes.
It's just not the kind of thing you ask a guy you just met.
Wow.
This scene is also really interesting. One would think that the first normal human idea would be thinking like, oh yeah, you know, I have this woman in my apartment. She may feel a bit unsafe. She may feel a bit awkward. She probably needs something. She just moved. She was just literally crying in my apartment, so she's not well. The fact that his mind immediately jumps to her probably wanting to have sex with him again shows that he is not seeing her as a person at all, but just as a sexual object. And this again is a classic example of a woman being interpreted through the lens of male sexual fantasies. He has this immediate sexual idea around her, so everything she is going to do is going to seem sexual to him, even if it's a super neutral act or asking a favor. Like in this case, she wants him to go over to her ex-boyfriend to ask if she could get the TV back. Nothing sexual, but Leonard's mind is going bonkers about it.
Yeah? I'm Leonard. This is Sheldon.
From the intercom.
How the hell did you get in the building? We're scientists.
Tell him about our IQ.
What I find really interesting about this scene is that it has a strong suggestion of a dating hierarchy. That girls like Penny, that are really pretty, are going to end up with guys like him that are just really masculine, strong, tall, and macho-like. And of course, because he is the man, he is going to hurt the weaker men, in this case, by taking their pants off, which is quite humiliating. And this is something that is also shown throughout the show so many times. This idea that the guys are not real men because they're nerdy, because they don't work out, because they're weaker, I guess. Unfortunately, this portrays masculinity also in a really toxic way, because it's the idea that masculinity is aggressive, it is dominant, and it is dangerous to a certain degree, which is something that's causing a lot of problems in this world right now. That men think that they have to be this way to be real men, when in fact, that's just
You were
harming
right about
everyone.
my motives. I was hoping to establish a relationship with Penny that might have someday led to sex.
Well, you got me out of my pants.
Now he even said it out loud. He just helped Penny because he was hoping to one day have sex with her. Wow. This transactional view of kindness that we have talked about it before is now just being reinforced again. And it's portrayed as something very normal. Of course, that's what Leonard does. Even though he's shown as unrealistic, well, his endeavors are shown as unrealistic, the fact that he does it is not questioned at all. That's just seen as normal. This reduces Penny to a goal or some kind of reward to be obtained, but it allows no space for any personality. He's not trying to get to know her. He's not interested in who she is. And if we're being completely honest, Leonard and Penny don't really have anything in common. Their conversation so far has been awkward, and they have not really had any real spark. And again, this is such a classic example of nice guy entitlement. He's being nice to her, so of course he wants something. and he should get it, right?
Thai food okay with you, Penny?
Sure.
We can't have Thai food. We had Indian for lunch.
So?
They're both curry-based cuisines.
So?
They would be gastronomically redundant. I can see we're going to have to spell out everything for this girl.
Any ideas, Raj?
Turn left on Lake Street and head up to Colorado. I know a wonderful little sushi bar that has karaoke.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Baby, baby, don't get hooked on me.
When I watched this last scene, I really had a feeling of discomfort. Penny doesn't know any of the guys well yet. She's in a car with them. One of them is mocking her intelligence. The two others are hitting on her. And the guy who cannot speak, it's still clear that he has some fantasies there. So I kept thinking, wow, what an uncomfortable and unsafe situation. Now, obviously, the character of Penny is written in a way that it doesn't bother her. She's comfortable in the car, she finds it funny. But if we think about this realistically, if I, for example, imagine being in that car, I would be deeply uncomfortable. I would feel so unsafe. Either way, this really is a huge imbalance. She's in a car with guys who either are mocking her or who want something with her. There is no equality here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you got something out of this. And I would love to hear your thoughts about this. And also I would love to hear what you would like to see next. Which show would you like me to comment on, or what kind of videos would still interest you? Let me know in the comments. And we're going to see each other, hopefully the next time. Leave a like, and if you want, share the video with a friend who you think it might be helpful. And I wish you a lovely rest of your day. See you next time.